Alright, hell yeah. So we've got 10 minutes of footage that I'm going to do a voiceover, and then the footage repeats, and so you can watch it without the voiceover. So hell yeah. So this is a day where I'm testing a couple designs. So I'm pulling up on the floor right there so it's cupped, and then pushing out in all other locations. So really getting that corner. And so, hell yes, wherever you see the bar, that's where it's cupped. And where I did that turn, that's going to help me edge on the corner. And so currently, from an R1 design perspective, this is the best thing that I want to paddle. And that's kind of interesting. Like kind of maybe one of the comments that I got kind of got me thinking about what people want. And yeah, it's kind of just fascinating. I think people get into R1 because it's big and stable, and you can just, it's difficult enough, but you hop in a boat, you use your downriver speed, and you navigate rapids. You have a big boat, and so it's fairly stable from that perspective. I guess what I'm trying to do is just capitalize on all of those ideas, and use its stability, but then also do kayak moves, Surfing in an R1 boat is hella fun, and if you do have a sticky wave, that thing's just going to really surf. And so on this wave, we do have that side surf over there. But even in just a standard boat, that upstream tube would just get sucked down, get tube sucked, and then you're just going to peace out. So one of the first and most important design things from this year is to push out the floor. So when you are edged on one tube, the other side of the boat comes up out of the water. So that's what you're going to see a lot. Anytime that I'm on a diagonal or just sideways, the other tube is just strikingly out of the water, and it's not engaged, with that wave. And so even over there, that's a small trough over there, and we're able to release 3/4 of the boat, and we're able to spin. So even just coming in right here, 3/4 of the boat's released. And hell yeah. And so now my back is up against the bar, and then you see that turn. That turn specifically, if you want to rewind it, was with the railed tubes. And so that bar indicates that we pulled up on the floor. And so in that location, I don't have like a back corner to lean up against. And so, like right now, that bar is behind me. Oh, yeah, and so a lot of this footage is just the best spins. So that's also, it's a highlight video. Hell yeah. But this small little wave over here, hell yeah. Just kind of really work on leaning. That time it did, kind of the tube got sucked, but we're able to control it. And that's one of the designs that I'm working on is the side tube right there. Design it so it actually has a little bit of a planing, like a bow rocker, like the front bow rocker on a creek boat. Like maybe that's what the side tube should look like. And so that's kind of the latest thing that I might want to experiment with. And that can be an additive process, like adding in foam onto that tube. And so, when it does suck, like right there, that you actually have a kind of a rockered surface that might do two things. One, it punches and stabs in, and that can sub and then pop back out, and then also it could skim over the surface, kind of more like a planing surface. But yeah, that's like even just like right there, that's the one thing on these rafts in general. Like it's 12 inches to 18 inches of a very squared off surface, and so the second that tags and hits water, it's just going to get punched out. Alright, hell yeah. So hopefully we do another spin on this one. We'll see if we do, because I have the bar behind me, and so we're going to see if it spins around. Hell yeah. Yeah, so as long as yeah, and I'm thinking why that went. And yeah, I remember kind of even watching this footage, because what I'm trying to do is get the RMR Thundercloud to spin just as easily, but it has two cupped ends. Like the ends of the Thundercloud are highly cupped, where the bow and stern, the two perimeter tubes, act like paddle cat tubes. And so you have kind of that 2 points of contact. And that's got some benefits. Like it really wants to dive in for a surf. And so like right there, the pointed end was down in, and sometimes it catches a little bit. So anytime that you see me with the bar down into the trough, that's going to hook in, just kind of surf just a lot better. And so, yeah, I want to finish that thought. So on the RMR Thundercloud, one thing that I can do is push down the floor right in the middle in the most extreme way possible. So then if I edge sideways, at least half the boat is out of the water, because that's the limitation on the Thundercloud. I can't jump to a back corner. I can't release 3/4 of the boat. And if I can't release 3/4 of the boat on the back corner because I'm just have both tubes engaged, then I can't even release half the boat. And so, and if the floor is really sucked up against the bow and stern, which I think could be a benefit, then what's the modification? It would be push down the floor underneath the thwarts as highly as possible, so then you could at least edge it side to side. And anytime where, like where the back of the boat, like right now, is up against that bar and I'm trying to do a spin, like right there, the boat doesn't get in the way. And I'm thinking that's because the middle portion of the boat is just extremely pushed down, and so it wants to spin like a top. We're currently in the RMR Thundercloud, even trying to push it out as much as possible, just with a couple foam pads. Those tubes just dig in. So even like on anytime I'm spinning, the bow or stern tubes just really dig in. And where this boat, yeah, I think that even footage right there shows that we've pushed out the floor effectively, and so the floor is highly rockered underfoot. And so that really allows me to spin the boat. And now I'm going to talk about I've said in some footage that this boat, even the perimeter tube is too straight. Especially at the corners, I feel like even just like right there, that digs in, and that's not a benefit. You know what I mean? So those corners can be a benefit if you're setting up a trick, like digging them in and allowing them to plow. But still, from my taste, is they're getting in the way even on my surfs. And so that's one of the aspects that I was talking about, just foaming out the corners so they're more tapered. But if I'm able to do my own design, I would start to taper or highly rocker the perimeter tube. And so still have the floor with its rocker and lower, but then just have the perimeter tubes more rockered. And that's saying a lot because my boat definitely has a little bit of rocker, you know what I mean? But I think it's sometimes an illusion because even underfoot, it's fairly flat. A touch of rocker, but it could be a lot more. Hell yeah. And we were even able to kind of work on these back surfs. And so, hell yeah. And so that spin, that was on, you know what I mean? So that was a combination of spins. So that would be one to kind of analyze. I did 2 spins. One was using the bow. One was, having the stern pushed out, the floor near the stern pushed out, and the second spin was having the floor near the bow sucked up and cupped. All right, hell yeah. So we have 1 more minute of footage, and then you can watch the entire thing. Thanks for letting me kind of talk over this. That's one thing that I'm just trying to get better at, is just to reiterate what I know. I'm always adding kind of 1 or 2 pieces in. I've been studying the physics of, planing holes, displacement holes, like why a slalom kayak is fast yet maneuverable. And so, hell yeah. And so, yeah, I'll end with that because for sure just reducing or making the bow more rockered in the bow, for sure. And And then reducing the volume in the stern, that would be kind of interesting, especially doing, just engaging stern squirts. And I think stern squirts and pirouettes that you could gauge in an R1, then that just makes flat water just fun. And I don't think it gets in the way of it. Like a half slice really doesn't get in the way of downriver. Like a lot of downriver plays are half slices. Okay, so that's the footage we have. Thanks for joining me. Booyah.